So 2020 has undoubtedly been a very challenging year for a lot of us. And it's made it really difficult in order to try to stay positive and really look at the bright side of things or picture that glass being half full. But what we know is that training optimism and the trait of optimism is one of the key indicators of peak performers. It's something that is inherent in their practice and their personality. And the great thing is that we can practice and develop and hone our optimism with the right mindset and with the right strategies in place to further develop that optimism in ourselves. And so what I want to talk about today are a few of the key ways that you can either shift your mindset into a more optimistic framework, or if you're already very optimistic, this is also a great way to further that practice and develop it on a daily basis, or just get an even stronger positive mindset around things. So it really comes down to three main components that we need to work on or develop for ourselves when it comes to practicing optimism, developing it, and also how we respond to adversity in our lives. So first up, we need to begin with the idea in mind. If you are shifting from maybe more of a pessimistic outlook on things, what we really need to do is set that intention for ourselves that we are going to become more optimistic. Really, it starts with some sort of affirmatory statement. And I've talked about affirmations in the past. There are other videos on this channel if you want to go into more on the topic of affirmations. But really what we want to do is write something down. It can be an idea like, I will become more optimistic, or I am the type of person who's optimistic. If you don't really grasp the idea of optimism fully, you can also write something like, I want the best for my life. And that is something that you can then work towards through the practices of optimism. So then the next big thing, and really we don't get very far just by writing down an intention and expecting things to happen. It's all about using that intention to prime yourself to look for opportunities in your environment where things are going well or where you can express some gratitude. So really the key to developing more of an optimistic mindset is around, once you've got that intention, every single day you want to look for at least 3 good things that have happened in your day. And sometimes every single day is not going to be perfect sunshine and rainbows, and it's totally okay. That's where you can go back through the highlight reel of your life and pick out some of those key moments that have really made you grateful for things. But as much as possible, you want to try to keep to the same day and find the great things that have happened, even if they're really small things. It could be just the appreciation for the cup of coffee you had in the morning, or a moment of the sun peeking through the clouds, or beautiful weather, whatever it may be. Those little things start to build up in your mind as positive experiences that helps to shift or develop further optimism in you. And then the final component is turning tragedy into triumph. We have to respect and remember that things aren't always going to go exactly according to plan. Things aren't always going to be great. And most of us don't get out of this life without experiencing some form of little t or big T trauma. And so really it comes down to how you're going to take that adversity and look at it through what can grow from this, the idea of post-traumatic growth. What are you able to control and what's outside of your control? And the more that we focus on the things that are within our control, which is our thoughts, our attitudes, our efforts, and our actions, those are the only things that really come down to what's in our control. And we've got to remember and focus on those things instead of just spiraling out of control on what we can't necessarily dictate ourselves. And this is a big thing with the whole COVID situation. There's a lot that's not in our control, but as long as we're making sure that we focus on those efforts of ourselves in staying safe, or focus on the thoughts and maybe being appreciative that your family's in good health, and maybe if it's not, that you are still able to do something to contribute to them. All of this makes a big difference in shifting from just spiraling out of control with negative thoughts versus staying positive and growing from the experience. And this is not just about being naive or thinking that everything's always going to work out for the best, but looking still at what we can take from a situation, even if it isn't the best situation, and still moving forward on whatever our greatest goals are or whatever brings us the most meaning. That's really what it's all about. That's the concept of post-traumatic growth, essentially, in that we are using some of that energy for positive rather than just letting it eat us alive. So at first glance, it may seem that optimism is something that only comes to those who have been served on a silver platter their whole life, but it's really a very highly trainable skill if we just work on it for ourselves consistently and do our best. And remember, things aren't always going to be great, but that's why it's good to have a written copy even of whatever you're grateful for each day, so you can turn back to that highlight reel when things aren't going so well, and also look at whatever you can do to take an opportunity or take adversity and learn from the experience. Even if it's not the greatest learning experience, we know that trying to do that and doing your best at it is the way that you shift more from a pessimistic to an optimistic worldview. And that comes down to one of the ways and one of the key elements of being a peak performer. So I hope that you work on this practice of developing more optimism for yourself. It really does make a big difference in your outlook and positivity, and really helps to get through the dark times. I know we're sort of approaching the second wave of COVID right now, and things are going to probably get dark again for us. And it's, of course, very scary, but we've got to stay positive and stay strong in our mindsets as we get through it. So I hope you found the video helpful. Give that practice a shot and work on it consistently every single day. And until next time, dream on and find your flow.